I'm live. It still seems dark in here. Hi, guys, it's Alan. And just me again. Saturday, I think it's the 18th. And again, just talking about being a targeted individual and directed energy weapons. If you are a TI, different symptoms. Some of us have only directed energy weapons, which can be like a sharp. It's what the news is now calling Havanna Syndrome. And that's because there's so many of us in the world that they're trying to find a way to explain the thousands of us. In fact, the White House even had in 2011, you can find it online, 2012 targeted individual evidence, YouTube. And even Anthony Fauci's wife was there, Dr. Christine Grady, and Amy Gutman from University of Pennsylvania, the president of the college, she was there. And so they know about it. They even opened their own doors to give an account and to pretend to say, we're going to get to the bottom of this. We're going to open the doors and try to figure out what's going on, like they didn't know. Every TI, when they're doing all this street theater and gang stalking, and the police are doing this to you, going like that, and doing, after a while, you kind of realize, oh, they're part of it. I mean, it's just, you realize it's not some just Havana, unless Fidel and his brother Raul sent a bunch of people from Cuba all the way over to Salem, Oregon, or wherever you are, to do all this gang stalking or stuff with cars, and it just, all these mundane, trivial things that happen repeatedly over and over in succinct over and over again, like 5 people wearing the same kind of Def Leppard pink shirt, or going by and saying the same exact sentence. And that's part of the weird gang stalking. And I know it sounds so weird, but they do this to you hoping that it'll freak you out, and then you'll go to the police department or to a mental shrink and describe it, and you'll be labeled nuts, schizophrenic. They're actually intentionally doing this to you. It's a weird thing there. If you're raised in a religious or conservative town where you think that people are basically pretty good, and I had lived in my town since I was 7 years old. I went 3 years to a Bible college studying for the ministry. And this stuff started happening, the directed energy weapon. I didn't know what to call it. I just knew I was in pain. And I went to a Bible college, and they were in North Dakota, and they were even doing it to me there. It was just doubling over, sharp pain. I was about 17 at the time. And it's just constant. And then, I did that for about 35 years. And I didn't know. I just knew I was in pain. I didn't know there was something called direct energy weapons. I just figured I had broken my arm when I was 15, 16, sophomore in high school, football. And during the operation, I just figured that was on my arm. And there was no pain right here. So I don't know what happened, because for all that time, there was no pain on my chest. My side was fine. It was all right here. But then a few months after my surgery, this started, the side pain, for 35 years, because I'm 50 years old now. And it's just, it wasn't until about 2015, 2016, I didn't know what to call it. I just knew somebody was fucking with me with these voice things. Somebody's playing a game. And I didn't know there was something called, I didn't know about targeted individuals. I didn't have a belief. I wasn't political. I didn't have enemies. The police were fine. The sheriff was fine. I didn't have enemies. I pretty much stayed home, and I studied Christian apologetics and religious apologetics and humanist apologetics, theology, that kind of stuff. Just comparing the two and the different viewpoints of religion and conservative, orthodox, liberal, humanistic, all that kind of stuff. But I didn't have any enemies. And the weird thing was V2K, and then when it later goes from a couple of voices from, talking to you or about you from underneath the floor, or a neighbor from the other side of the building, then you can hear it. And then later it gets into, they can just beam it right to you. And they're literally trying to set you up. And I didn't have any enemies. It's not like I pissed anybody off to, I had to turn around and look behind, worry. I didn't piss anybody off ever. I didn't have any enemies. I didn't act in a way to deserve it. But this is 35 years, and around 2015, 2016, this was really prevalent. And I really did get hurt, almost checked out. And even then I fell out a window and had to learn to walk again. And in all that time, this little religious town of Dallas, not anybody, and to this day, 5-6 years later, nobody's come up and admitted that they knew about it or that they even apologized. Nobody from City Hall. The first time I actually got in trouble is because after I went to the targeted individual rally with Ella Free and Dr. Matt and Miggs, and it was in Portland, and the V2K was there and was still going. And so the first time ever to actually meet other targeted individuals, actually, and listen to them give a speech. So to know, this is real. It's not just some weird thing this is actual other people going through the same thing and fill me in on what it is. And so I did my own study, but it was nice to see other people that was going through it. And it's the realization that the police and sheriff and law enforcement are using military hardware, torture, all the billions and trillions of dollars that we give the military through taxes, and then they come back and use it on everyday citizens just to see if it works, and shits and giggles. And if you die, for all I know, they might even get insurance. They might take life insurance out on you, and like what they call STOLE, stranger-owned life insurance. It's where completely random strangers take life insurance out on you, and you don't even know about it. It's like Walmart did this to some of their employees years ago. I don't know if they're still doing it. But then, and then, people die, and then complete strangers or some of the people on the top, the CEOs, take life insurance out on their employees without telling the employees. And when they die, they just collect on they're worth more. The employees are worth more dead to Walmart or wherever than the 30 years that person worked for the company. They can get more money, so they're trying to get rid of the person and cancel their insurance or their medical insurance. And so this is what Dallas, my religious conservative, I thought a good town, and then suddenly all this happened at once. The weird thing with V2K, I'm going to pick this up a little bit, is the realization. There's a lot of weird things about it. When you have V2K voice to skull, and I still to this day, I don't know what K stands for. People say it means skull in German. No, it doesn't. I don't know what K means. But that's what it goes by, V2K. So, okay. And since I know it's a military, if you look at Wired magazine, there's a section where the Army took out V2K from its online magazine or online discussion. Wired magazine said, Army takes V2K out of its, like they didn't want to talk about it or get it out in public. let people know about it, so they took it off because there was so much V2K going out to people and torturing people. And synthetic telepathy is the other side of that coin, where you can hear these people from the fusion center or wherever. Even if you have a private thought about Archie Bunker playing basketball, you can hear, you're not saying it, you're just thinking it. And then you can hear this guy and this gal talking about, oh, he's thinking about Archie Bunker playing basketball. What a weird thought. I mean, they can actually read your thoughts. That's how weird it is. And to know that they can actually read your thoughts and use whatever your thought is. If your thought is a religious thought, if you're religious, they will use your religion against you. Whether you're a Christian, if you're a humanist, they'll use that against you. Like, well, if you're so smart, why don't you understand Stephen Hawking, or why don't you understand quantum physics? I mean, they'll use New Age against you. If you're a New Age believer, they will use UFO or psychic beliefs. They will use whatever produces a negative guilt, a feeling or a belief in guilt, to see the reaction you have in a negative way. They're not trying to build you up. This is trying to give you a negative, and it's turned down real low. So I don't know how many years this has been going on, because with V2K, that negative stuff is turned up to where it becomes, audible. You can hear it. I know the other people can't hear it. It's like the Navy. I think it was the Navy. They had Medusa. Mob excess deterrent. Mob excess deterrent using silent audio. Using silent. Now, audio is supposed to be where people can hear it. But this is called using silent audio. It's audio that you can't hear. Somebody can hear it. But if it's used on a mob to break up a mob, then it just breaks them up. But it's using silent. So somehow it's getting through to their ears, to their brain, to where they can hear it. But scalar waves, or however, it's beyond me. But they have this technology. And they use your own beliefs, guilt, shame, and they use it psychic beliefs. If you're Mormon, Muslim, Jewish, Orthodox, they will, even if you're an atheist, they will use whatever to tear you down. And they're trying to get rid of you, literally check out. But it's called no touch torture, because they can't, that way they can say, hey, nobody touched anybody. And they're right. Nobody pushed you. So even though they're getting they're trying to get in your face and get scared, they're not allowed to touch you. They can get close and try to provoke you to get you to touch them, punch them, but they're not allowed to touch you. They're not allowed to punch you. They're not allowed to, because it's psychological. It's trying to get in your head fear, anxiety, to get you react to where either you break the law, get thrown in jail, the Huskow. So get thrown in jail, get thrown into a psych ward because you are hearing voices and you're having all these psychological things. And it's like, even if you explain V2K, you can show them the pamphlets. You can show them, here's the patent. The police will, oh, I don't know that. I've never heard of it. I never got in trouble in my entire life. It wasn't it wasn't until in Dallas I finally wrote on a piece of chalk in front of the police station, dumbass cops. And that was because of that's what they called me they froze my computer and my phones a bunch of times. And the only thing that would unfreeze it is if I wrote dumbass 2, which was their code word evidently for me. It sounds weird, but I wrote dumbass cops and then V2K in big chalk. And that was why, because I didn't have a problem with them before that, but then they gave me this. And because of this program and hearing that stuff, the voices, I had fallen out of a window, had to learn to walk again. And they knew all this. But then it's like nobody felt bad. Nobody apologized. Nobody said, we know what we're doing is wrong. Just, they knew it didn't happen the way they wanted it to happen. Me be dead and they get all this money or whatever, all the things they get from doing this targeted individual program. So anyway, I wrote Dumbass Cops and then wrote V2K so they know why I wrote it. And then I had to be good. To their credit, the ones I had met, they were decent. They didn't give me a hard time. They just sat me down, talked to, and didn't arrest me. And I just had to be good for a year. And like I said, I never had a problem with them. I never in my life did. But then they did this to me. And I know that they were involved with it. So it's kind of like I try to let them know that I know. And so now it's to their shame. Conservative Christian community now into torture and trying to get people to commit suicide for money. And it's just like very Christian community, tons of churches, Dallas, Oregon, torturing someone for money, torture, and then literally because of the torture, trying to get them locked up or to commit suicide. And then they get money for it. It's a federal program that the military gives to little towns so that these police and sheriffs can use on everyday people. And I never got in trouble. So they're not using it on some wife beater or child molester or anything. I never got hurt anybody. And they used it on me. I mean, they were doing this to me when I was in Bible college, studying for the ministry. So again, I have no idea. It's just they did it. But then the year after, 2017, I think was the first year of the Unity and Hope Conference in, I guess, Massachusetts. That was the first target. So I think they felt the pressure coming on about, wow, next year there's this conference for all target individuals. They're getting together, finding out. So we got to get rid of these people quick. So all these people started getting V2K in 2015 and 2016. Because they had to get rid of it, because they realized target individuals were organizing through Ella, Free, Dr. Matt, Justice, Romola D, targeted Massachusetts. They're organizing. So that's a threat. It's not just people online, and we don't know who's real and who isn't real, and everybody's calling everybody else a fake or a perp. And by the way, it's just my opinion, but don't do that. If somebody is being mean to you, just call them an asshole. But you don't have to call them and tell everyone else they're a perp, because unless you know that they are, then you really don't know. Anybody who's getting the word out and making other people know about it, if they're getting the word out about the TI program and what's going on and torture that's going on, they're helping us. Even if they're not doing it perfectly and there might be some information or disinformation that's not perfect, it's like I dealt with this in theology. Nobody has a perfect understanding of what's going on. It's like the Apostle Paul, we see through a glass darkly. Nobody has a perfect theology about, everyone thinks they do, but nobody does. As if we go to heaven and there's a test in God saying, do you believe in the hypostatic union? Or anyway, I'm going off. Anyway, we all have beliefs about this program that are probably wrong or somewhat off. And certainly when it comes to technology, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. So I try to listen to someone like a Brian Tu or Tyrone Du. Two names that's similar. Targeted Justice, Richard Lighthouse, and all of these. But again, I don't know. They sound so impressive and intelligent that people sometimes will just accept. And I don't know, but I know that they know more than I do. But it's still good to be skeptical of, be skeptical even of me, because I can prove I took pain pills for 20 years, and that's why, but it's like, I'm telling you 100% this is true. I can tell you the patents. I can tell you Robert Duncan, James Giordano are some of the scientists and doctors that are working on this. I can show you the Ella Free rally of other target individuals. I can show you the White House, target individual evidence. It used to be on bioethics.gov during President Obama, showing that this is really happening, and the pressure got so big, even the White House had to open its doors with Amy Gutmann, the University of Pennsylvania president, and this other guy, I forget his name, and then Anthony Fauci's wife, Dr. Christine Grady, was part of the panel too. 2011 and 2012. So that'll prove to people that we're not bullshitting. This is really happening to people. Enough for the White House to take it seriously, or pretend to at least. So the thing is, there's so many people, this is happening, and I don't think the government knows what to do except blame Cuba. Because, Cuba has that top-notch technology going on all the time. I mean, there's Harvard, Stanford, and that school that Fidel opened up. Cuba, Havanna Syndrome. I mean, it's like our government does something and doesn't even, think it through. Is this going to look realistic, believable? It's like, not really. They're smart people, but smart people make mistakes too. And then they have to cover it up. So this is the situation where we're at. Oh, John, hi. I didn't even see you there. I had a thing covering up the thing. Part of the TI thing is I keep on getting this thing saying that I won. Besides them screwing up my phone and my computer, they keep on saying I just won an iPhone 12 and I can pick it up. Well, they're delivering it to me from Best Buy, but it never shows up. So they keep on saying they're going to do this. They're going to deliver my brand new phone from Best Buy. And why won't I pick it up? Why won't I open the door? So how are you doing, John? I like your site, by the way. It had some good stuff on the TI program. So anyway, I'm just talking about all what we're going through. And I hope Kyle gets on. I enjoy hearing what he has to say, and I don't get too much stuff. I know they block the stuff from Ella Free. I used to get her stuff, but they block that stuff that I had on, like Next Level. I don't get his stuff, and Future Knowledge. I don't know what happened to him, but there's a lot of people they just block, or they're just not doing it anymore. I don't know. So, I mean, for me, this is going on over 5-6 years now of the V2K. So this is getting expensive for the government to do, but they got trillions of dollars. From what Donald Rumsfeld said on September 10th, that they have trillion dollars that they can't account for. That was on September 10th, 2001. Rumsfeld said that there's over $2 trillion unaccounted for. And of course, then we know what happened the next day, 9/11. So evidently they're working on this stuff. Star Wars that Reagan started in the 80s. Satellites. It was supposed to be against the Soviet Union and all that, but a lot of that money went to this program and in making the wireless technology and I remember having a book by Russell Targ, who was into some of this psychic stuff, but remote viewing and stuff. But he had a chapter about building an ESP machine, and who knows, it was Stanford, where they were trying to duplicate psychic stuff, an actual psychic, not just technology, but trying to borrow from the Soviet Union their psychic principles, telekinesis, what's real, what isn't, what is technologically that we can copy, what is from the British, psychic J.B. Rhine stuff from Duke University in the 30s and 40s. Anyway, I went off a thing. I noticed with one of the things when I started having I had my side pain, again, started when I was 15, 16, and I didn't know about TIs or direct energy weapons. I literally thought, and I kept it to myself, But I kind of thought it was because of my I was a bit zealous, overly zealous. I wasn't like loud nut, but part of my Christian belief and upbringing was the whole idea of dying to yourself, which is what would Jesus do? That type of thinking. But if you constantly have that, what would Jesus do? Trying to make yourself obedient on everything, putting him first, and trying to make yourself constantly think, making him 100%. Love the Lord with all your heart, mind, soul, spirit. Then I kind of thought that side pain, and including with that a lot of the loss of emotion, the natural ability to feel natural emotions. I thought that was because of my Christian, just studying apologetics and studying theology and constantly thinking about it. I wouldn't talk about it with other people because I didn't want the same thing to happen to them. I literally thought that all these years, for 30 some odd years, that it was because of my evangelical upbringing, my Christian constantly thinking about it, studying Christian apologetics, studying the humanism, the freedom from religion stuff, the atheist stuff in order to counterbalance, so I can do a good apologetic stuff. And seeing what parts the humanists have that are good points, and some parts that, like the fine-tuning argument, I believe is a great argument for the existence of God. Made me a believer. That and Richard Taylor's design argument. You look it up in metaphysics. But it's a great argument for design. It's got a weird twist to it. And if you look it up, you'll be like, Richard Taylor, metaphysics, design argument. And you'll come away thinking, shit, I never thought of that. Like, how do we think of things? You can see things or hear things, but it's almost like they were made our eyes and ears were made for the purpose of seeing things, of hearing things. And those things out there have absolutely nothing to do with the structure of the eyeball or the ear itself. So how did it evolve by chance to tell the truth that we rely on for truth? How did it evolve to tell the truth about things out there that had nothing to do with the actual structure of the eye or the ear itself, even through evolution? It's almost like it was made for the purpose of so that we could see things, so that we could hear things. Anyway, for me, it doesn't solve theodicy or problem of evil and all that, but that argument and fine-tuning argument and the free will and dualism, that did it. So anyway, I thought that was it. I thought because of all that, what would Jesus do stuff and dying to yourself. And I put this thing up to where you just couldn't feel your normal spontaneous. It wasn't until, and all that side pain, that I had to take pain meds for all those years. And it wasn't until 2015, 2016 and the V2K. Oh, that happened not just because of the religious or trying to be religious and obedient. It was the side pain and all of that, directed energy weapons. That shit's real. And normally I'd be like, oh, don't even cuss because that, you won't be a good witness. And I just don't give going through all this, you don't care about shit like that. Or if somebody views you as not being spiritual enough, you're just F them. You don't care. Because the people in the town that did this to you, it wasn't Satanists or transhumanism. The people taking the money, the police and all that in this town, and even in Salem, they're conservative Christians that are taking this money, that are going along with this program. There might be scientists that are transhumanists or secular humanists, but the people taking the money in Dallas are Christians. I mean, it is Dallas. It's predominantly conservative Christian people that I always thought were good. And the ones maybe making it, the humanists, the ones that are trying to destroy people and control them through this technology and make them kill themselves, they might be Satanists, pedophiles, call them whatever you want, but they're the ones holding out the money, and the ones taking the money in the city halls are your everyday conservative religious people, or at least that claim it. But you walk and you see them, you walk by them downtown every day, and most of them are Christians, claim they want to drain the swamp, and they're taking money from that swamp. They're not draining it, they're taking money from the swamp. They are the swamp. There wouldn't be a swamp if there wasn't people like them taking the money that's being offered. So City Hall, sheriffs, police that are part of it, gang stalking. The reason why the swamp gets away with it is because there's people like you that take the money and just do whatever your bosses say, even if it's trying to get a person to be tortured or die or kill themselves. So that's why there's a swamp. It's because there's people like them that say they want to drain the swamp, and when nobody's looking, they take that swamp money. And anyway, so now that's changed my viewpoint on being religious and all the, anyway, I won't go into that because I don't like to hurt people's faith. I just believe in God, fine-tuner, designer, and free will and dualism, soul, and pretty simple for me. I just keep it very simple. I don't get into theology or who's right on this eschatology or soteriology, how to be saved the exact right way, or baptism or Mariology. I just leave that for other people, and so that they can enjoy these debates and arguments. So I don't even try to correct them. I just say, well, that's a good point. I just listen to them and okay. Anyway, I went off on a thing there. Anyway, if you get too much into that, too much religion, too much studying it can lead up to scrupulosity, obsessive compulsive, constantly thinking of religion. And that's what's called scrupulosity. It's a form of religious addiction, which in evangelical, in some forms, even Islam, they suffer scrupulosity too. It's when a person takes their faith so serious that they're always thinking about it, constantly thinking about what the faith means, what the scripture means, trying to do everything exactly right. And if they don't do it the right, they'll do it another way. They'll do all the rituals the right way. If they do it the prayer the wrong way, or they'll try to do it the exact right amount of times, 5 times 7, whatever their magic number is to make it right, pleasing to God. So anyway, look it up. There's some books out there, but that's another subject. So anyway, it was nice to know that my side pain and the V2K was all connected. And I finally, for the first time at the age of 45, 46, got an answer so that was one good thing about it, is I finally got an answer what my pain was and what caused it. And it was realizing that most people with V2K that are all the people that are target individuals that have V2K, I shouldn't say all of it, but a big percentage of them, 50, I don't know what it is, 70, also have directed energy weapons torturing them. Havanna Syndrome on TV, but these vertigo, the high-pitched, in the ears, the sound high-pitched thing in the ears. These tardive dyskinesia, which is just rampant, this muscle spasms that's not being controlled. This is real, and they're doing this just, I guess, through the Fusion Center. But it is done by our own government. It's not Cuba. They might be doing it to their own people, Russia, China, but even China has been having meetings with target individuals. So this is happening in a lot of countries around the world. So anyway, John, it's good to see you. I'll try to get back on. I got to make some dinner for my mom. So I hope you guys are doing good. And if you guys hear anything about other groups that are doing chats, let me know. So, okay. And stay strong, people. And realize you didn't do anything wrong to deserve this. It's like sometimes it's just experimentation, and it's wrong. What they're doing to you, what they're doing to me, it's wrong, and our own government's doing it. So you have a right to be mad. You have a right to own your feelings, your beliefs. And they're not just doing it to you, they're doing it to other people. So you've got a new family, whether you like it or not. All right. Bye. Take care. There's my little arrow. Okay. Bye, guys.